Hey, what's up, y'all? Today we're back with another video. Today I'm going to be sharing you my reactions to week 2 of the NFL season. So first off, we have Commanders-Packers game. I was surprised how badly Green Bay won. It was not close, other than the fourth quarter where Washington actually did something. Jaden Daniels had an okay game till the fourth quarter where he had 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times, though. That is not good. Corey Crossett-Merritt led the team with 17 rush yards. Well, every player had 17 rush yards, but he had more yards per carry than everyone else because the run game was not efficient whatsoever. Zach Ertz led them in receiving with 6 catches for 64 yards and a touchdown. Debo also had the other touchdown. Terry actually did something this game, though, which is nice to see. Bobby Wagner led the team in tackles, which is always nice to see. Dorrance Armstrong got 1 sack, and Jacob Martin and Von Miller split a sack. And Matt Gay for the Commanders, he's 1 for 3 kicking. Not good whatsoever. If he makes those 2 field goals, it's a 3-point game. Next for Green Bay, Jordan Love had another great day. 292 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was only sacked 2 times. Josh Jacobs had a touchdown, but had 3.7 yards per carry. 23 carries for 84 yards. Not the most productive day, but it was pretty decent. Tucker Kraft had an incredible game. 6 catches for 124 yards and a touchdown. Romeo Doubs had the other touchdown. Dontavion Wicks was cooking Marshawn Lattimore out on defense. Edgerrin Cooper got half a sack, along with Carl Brooks. Micah got half a sack. And Baron Sorrell got half a sack, with Rashawn Gary and Devonta Wyatt getting 1 sack. Green Bay did miss a field goal, but they were 2 for 3 instead of 1 for 3 for Washington, which is obviously way better. Next game is the Bengals and Jaguars. It was a good game. Browning played pretty bad, but we were able to sneak out a win. Burrow's hurt, though. For 3 months. He's out 3 months. That is very concerning. But Trevor Lawrence, he played okay. Did not play that good. I'm still not convinced in Trevor Lawrence. I don't know why people think he's still going to be good. 271 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Travis Etienne had another good day, surprisingly, with 14 carries for 71 yards. They were not able to get a rushing touchdown, though. Parker Washington led the team in receiving yards with 5 catches for 76 yards. De'Ami Brown had the touchdown. So did Byshell Tootin and Travis Etienne catching. On defense, Jordan Lewis led the team in tackles with 2 tackles for loss. Trayvon Walker with a sack. Oluvakun with a sack. Eric Armstead with a sack. And that's it. The kicker, Cam Little, who made a 70-yarder in preseason, was 2 for 2, 100%. Pretty good game by Jacksonville. They did get intercepted twice. Now, here's where things get interesting. Jake Browning, 21 for 32, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Joe Burrow was having a pretty good day until he got hurt. Chase Brown, not productive, just under 3 yards a carry. Drake Browning got the rushing touchdown on the QB sneak to win them the game. Jamar Chase balled out, 14 receptions for 165 yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins had that deep ball touchdown. And Tinsley had that incredible one-handed grab in the end zone. It was a really great play. Dax Hill led the team in tackles, tied with Geno Stone. But Trey Hendrickson got the only sack on the day for their defense. He is carrying the team. Next up, for a surprising game, we have the Giants versus Cowboys, 37-40. That was an incredible game. That is concerning for Cowboys, allowing the Giants to score 37 points. Russ looked like old Russ back in Seattle until he threw that pick in overtime, having 450 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Cam Skattebo had a pretty good rushing game with a touchdown. Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson both had over 100 yards and combined for 3 touchdowns. Neighbors with 2. Paulson Adebo had 13 tackles on the day. What a game for him. Kayvon Thibodeau had a sack. Brian Burns had a sack. Elijah Garcia had a sack. And that's it for the team. It's pretty good. Ram Gano was 3 for 3 kicking. So that's pretty good to see as well. Now for Dallas. Dak, 38 for 52, 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Not as good as a day as Russ, but he also had a pretty good day. Javonte Williams is actually performing, which is surprising. 18 carries for 97 yards and a touchdown. Miles Sanders also had a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb had 9 catches for 112 yards. George Pickens and Kevontae Turpin had the touchdowns. On defense, Kenny Clark got a sack. James Houston got a sack. What is going on with my iPad? Whatever. And Houston had a sack, and I think that's it. Brandon Aubrey was the star for the show, sending Dallas into overtime. With a 64-yarder, and he ended up making a 40-something yarder to give them the win. Bro, I swear. I'm struggling here to focus because and I don't know what happened. I'm just going to close the iPad, open it back up, and then we're going to be back. What is happening? Alright, it's fixed. I fixed the issue I was having. Let's get back to reacting. Bears Lions. Let's look at the box score. Caleb Williams had a pretty terrible game. 19 for 30, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. That interception was terrible, by the way. He was doing too much with the ball. He should have thrown it away. He threw it right to Detroit. DeAndre Swift had 12 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown, which is pretty good. Rome Odunze had a breakout game. 7 receptions for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. When I was watching, when that game showed up, when I was watching, NFL Game Day Live, whenever the Bears had a highlight, it was with Rome Odunze. For defense, Jaquan Brisker got a sack, led the team in tackles. They were not able to get to Goff a single time, and the Bears did not kick any field goals. So, yeah. Now for the Lions. Jared Goff, 23 for 28, 334 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That is just an incredible game all around. That is a lot better than what we saw in week 1 from him. Jahmyr Gibbs is also back, having 12 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. David Montgomery also had a touchdown, which is nice to see. Amon-Ra had 9 catches for 115 yards and 3 touchdowns. J-Mo had 2 receptions for 108 yards and a touchdown. Brock Wright had the other touchdown. And I saw Isaac Tesla's one-handed catch on the sideline. He is making these incredible one-handed catches every single game. I would like to see more from him. Now for defense, Jack Campbell led the team in tackles. Brian Branch had a sack. Alquandin Muhammad had a sack. Marcus Davenport had a sack, and Aiden Hutchinson had a sack. Chicago was not able to protect Caleb that well, or I don't know if it was just him holding onto the ball for too long. Next up was the Rams and Titans. From what I saw, Cam Ward had a pretty good game. His touchdown pass was wicked, as you could see. LA just pulled away in the 4th quarter. Matthew Stafford was 23 for 33, 298 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick, which is pretty decent. Kyren Williams had 17 carries for 66 yards and no touchdowns. Puka had that 145-yard rush, which was crazy. And Blake Corum outperformed Kyren Williams, having 5 carries for 44 yards and a touchdown. Then Devontae Adams was cooking the Titans secondary, having 6 catches for 106 yards and a touchdown. Puka also had 8 catches for 91 yards. And Davis Allen caught the other touchdown. Cameron Kitchens led the team in tackles. Cam Curl had a sack. Byron Young had 2. Kobe Turner had a sack. And Josiah Stewart had a sack, which is 5 on the day. That is not good for them. Cardi was 2 for 2 kicking. Let's check the Titans' stats. Cam Ward, 19 for 33, 175 yards, and a touchdown. He looked pretty good. I saw those dimes on the sideline at the end of the first half. Man, he looked good. Tony Pollard had 20 carries for 92 yards, no touchdowns. He's doing pretty good rushing-wise. Calvin Ridley had 3 catches for 57 yards. Eric Iamore, I don't know how to say his name, 4 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown. That catch on the sideline was incredible, and that play to catch that Cam's first career touchdown pass was also good. Amani Hooker led the team in tackles and also had a sack. There was also who got the pick in there? I'm not sure who got the pick, but it was Cody Barton was the one who got the pick. Joey Sly was 4 for 4 again, hitting a 57-yarder, which is pretty good. Next game, we have the Patriots and Dolphins. As you could see, Miami's offense looked better than week 1, but that's a really low bar to cross. They still lost though. Drake May, 19 for 23, 230 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like I said in my predictions video, Drake May was not the issue in week 1. It's just the fact that they refused to run the ball. Ramondre, 11 carries for 54 yards. Drake May rushed for 10 carries for 31 yards and a touchdown. Mondre Stevenson had 5 carries for 88 yards, no touchdowns. Kayshon Boutte had the touchdown pass. That was a literal dime right into his hands. Perfect pass. And Matt Collins had the other touchdown catch. On defense, Milton Williams had 2 sacks. Robert Spillane had 1 sack. Harold Landry had a sack. Kavon Chason had a sack. Man, they got to Tua a lot. And Marty Mapu got the interception. Their kicker was 2 for 2 kicking, but he missed 2 extra points at the start of the game, and both teams had back-to-back special teams touchdowns. Dolphins with a punt return touchdown, and the Patriots with a kick return touchdown. It's pretty wicked. Tua, 26 for 32, 315 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick. He had a pretty decent game and then when the pressure was on, Tua turned the ball over. All right. Devon Achane did not have a productive rushing game, but he was very productive receiving, having 8 carries for 8 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek had 6 receptions for 109 yards, no touchdowns. Jalen Waddle also had the other touchdown. Tyrell Dodson led the team in tackles. Jordan Brooks had a sack. Bradley Chubb had a sack. And Chop Robinson had a sack. So, they were not able to get any turnovers. Their kicker, Riley Patterson, was 2 for 2 kicking. Not missed any extra points. That was actually a pretty decent game, surprisingly. I thought the Patriots were going to blow Miami out of the water, but it was actually a pretty decent game. Now for San Fran and New Orleans. San Fran ended up winning. Mac Jones and Spencer Rattler both looked pretty good. But it was the 49ers with the more talented roster that got the win. Mac Jones, 26 for 39, 280 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's a pretty good game, but many quarterbacks would have a good game in that San Fran offense. CMC, 13 carries for 55 yards. That's a pretty good day. Receiving, Juwan Jennings, 5 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown. CMC had a touchdown. And Luke Farrell had a touchdown. On defense, Fred Warner led the team in tackles. Nick Bosa had a sack. Upton Stout had a sack. Bryce Huff had a sack. And that's about it. Their kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, was 2 for 2 on field goals, but missed an extra point. But it did not end up costing them. Spencer Rattler actually had a pretty good day. 25 for 34, 207 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara had a pretty good day. 21 carries for 99 yards. Chris Olave had a pretty good receiving day, 6 receptions for 54 yards. Rashid Shaheed had a touchdown catch. Juwan Johnson had a touchdown catch, and Devon Vele had a touchdown catch. Demario Davis led the team in tackles, still putting up numbers, being ancient. Carl Granderson had 2 sacks. And Chris Rumpf had a sack. And their kicker, Blake Grupe, missed the field goal, but hit all his extra points, which is you expect from a kicker. Next, Bills-Jets. I was surprised how badly the Jets played after week 1, but it also makes sense because Pittsburgh also lost. Josh Allen did got a bloody nose and was still able to play pretty good. He just doesn't play that good against the Jets for some reason. Because if you look at Buffalo passing, 14 for 25, 148 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. James Cook had an insane game, showing him he was worth the money, having 21 carries for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I saw one of those touchdown runs, and it was pretty crazy. Elijah Moore had a touchdown run. And on defense, Cole Bishop led the team in tackles, and he also had a sack. Joey Bosa got a sack. DaQuan Jones got a sack. Greg Rousseau and Zion Logue split a sack. They got a fumble from Justin Fields in that game. And yeah, here's the Jets offense. Tyrod Taylor came in and looked way better than Justin Fields because Justin Fields ended up getting a concussion. Tyrod was 7 for 11 for 56 yards and a touchdown. Justin Fields was 3 for 11 and 27 yards. Overall, pretty bad day. Justin Fields had 5 carries for 49 yards, leading the team in rushing because Breece Hall had 10 carries for 29 yards. Garrett Wilson had 4 receptions for 50 yards. And Jeremy Ruckert caught the only touchdown pass. Justin Fields fumbled twice, lost 1. On defense, Jamian Sherwood led the team in tackles. Joan Briggs had a sack. And that's about it for the Jets. Next up is Seattle and Pittsburgh. I ended up getting that prediction wrong. I was surprised. Seattle looked pretty good. They had a special teams blunder Pittsburgh, which allowed Seattle to score a touchdown. Sam Darnold was 22 for 33 yards, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Overall, he had a pretty good day other than the picks. Kenneth Walker had a pretty good day. 13 carries for like 103 yards. For 105 yards, sorry. And a touchdown. Jackson Smith-Njigba had 8 receptions for 103 yards, no touchdowns. Troy Horton and A.J. Barner had the touchdowns, though. Ernest Jones, the 4th, led the team in tackles. That's a sick name, by the way. Byron Murphy had 1.5 sacks. Leonard Williams had the other half of that sack. And Jaron Reed had a sack. And Kobe Bryant and Darion Kendrick got a picks. Welcome back from the dead, Kobe Bryant. Aaron Rodgers was 18 for 33 yards, 203 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He did not look that impressive, but it's fine because he's 40 years old. You're obviously going to slow down as you age. Jaylen Warren had 14 carries for 48 yards, no touchdowns. DK Metcalf had a pretty cool touchdown catch, but other than that, he was not very effective. Jaylen Warren had 4 receptions for 86 yards, though. He definitely was effective. Peyton Wilson led the team in tackles. Jack Sawyer had a sack. And Peyton Wilson also had a sack. Nick Herberg and Jalen Ramsey were the ones with picks. And yeah, overall, that was not an impressive showing from Pittsburgh. You would obviously like to see better games from them. Next up, Browns and Ravens. It's very simple. Joe Flacco's return to Baltimore did not go well. 25 for 45, 199 yards, a touchdown, a pick. Dylan Gabriel got some action and threw his first career touchdown pass. Quinshaw Judkins had 10 carries for 61 yards. After just signing with the Browns on his rookie deal after being accused of battery. Jerry Jeudy had 4 receptions for 51 yards. Cedric Tillman and Dylan Sampson had the touchdowns. Cedric Tillman's touchdown was pretty crazy. Devin Bush in the Big 25 is leading the team in tackles with 8. And he also had a sack. Myles Garrett had 1.5 sacks. And Cameron Thomas had the other half. Other than that, nothing went well for Cleveland. And the Ravens started off slow until they blocked a punt that got them inside the 20. Lamar Jackson had 19 for 29, 225 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Overall, pretty good day. Derrick Henry did not have that good of a day. 11 carries for 23 yards. It was sad. I have him in fantasy. As you can see, I am suffering. Zay Flowers had 7 receptions for 75 yards. DeAndre Hopkins had a crazy catch at the 1, and then later in the game, he got a touchdown. Devontae Walker had 2 touchdowns, and Tyron Wallace had a touchdown. On defense, Roquan Smith led the team in total tackles. Tavius Robinson had a sack. Nadami Matabuke had a sack. And that's it. Nate Wiggins had a pick and returned it 61 yards. Did not get a touchdown, though. And that's what we have for the 1 o'clock games. Next is one of the most surprising games of the week. Indianapolis beat Denver. Bo Nix was 22 for 30, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. J.K. Dobbins had 14 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown. Denver actually played pretty good. Troy Franklin had 8 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. Marvin Mims had the other touchdown. And Adam Trautman had another one. PS2 led the team in tackles with 11. Jordan Stenad had a sack. They are only able to get to Daniel Jones once. And Will Lutz missed a crucial field goal from 44 yards out, which could have won them that game. But now Daniel Jones looked good for the second straight week, going 23 for 34, 316 yards, 1 touchdown. JT had 25 carries for 165 yards. Daniel Jones rushed for a touchdown. Tyler Warren had 4 receptions for 79 yards. And Jonathan Taylor had the reception touchdown. Nick Cross led the team in tackles. They were not able to get to Bo Nix once. They were able to intercept Bo Nix. Cam Bynum got the pick. Second straight week for him, getting an interception. That's it. And by the way, I forgot to mention this. In that game, Denver lost that game because they had a penalty on a 60-yard field goal for the Colts as the time expired, but it was a 15-yard penalty. 45-yard field goal now, and Indianapolis won off of that. Next is Arizona versus Carolina. Like I predicted, Arizona won, but it was not pretty whatsoever. Carolina came back in the late third, early fourth quarter to nearly get the win. Bryce Young actually looked good this week, going 35 for 55, 328 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Rushing-wise was not so good. Chuba Hubbard had 10 carries for 38 yards, no rushing touchdowns. Tedoroa McMillan having another big day, 6 receptions for 100 yards. Hunter Renfrow, welcome back to the NFL, had 2 touchdowns, and Chuba Hubbard had a receiving touchdown. Trayvon Morag led the team in tackles. Princely Ona, whatever his name is, that's an insane name. He was the only one with a sack. They were able to pick Kyler Murray off. Well, DJ Wonnum got a pick. I think that's how you say his name. Kyler was 17 for 25, 220 yards, a touchdown, a pick. James Conner had 11 carries for 34 yards and a touchdown. Overall, not the most productive day, but it got the job done. Trey McBride had 6 receptions for 78 yards, no touchdowns. Michael Wilson got the 11-yard touchdown from Kyler. Jalen Thompson led the team in tackles with 10. Calais Campbell, who's the grandfather, with 2 sacks. Josh Wett with 1. And Baron Browning got an interception. Other than that, it was a surprisingly close game. Now we have Philly versus Kansas City. Super Bowl rematch. Philly was able to beat Kansas City. Kansas City should have won that game. Philly did not play their best, but Kansas City was not able to capitalize on opportunities they had. Jalen Hurts, 15 for 22, 101 yards, no touchdowns. Saquon had 22 carries, 88 yards, and a touchdown. He was pretty productive on the ground. Devonta Smith had 4 receptions for 53 yards. And that's all the touchdowns. That's it. Cooper DeJean led the team in tackles with 8. Andrew Makumba and Zadarius Smith split a sack. And Moro Ohombo had another sack. Andrew Makumba had the interception off of Mahomes that bounced off of Travis Kelce's hands. Mahomes was 16 for 29, 187 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And he led the team in rushing, which is always concerning. 7 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown. Travis Kelce had 4 catches for 61 yards. Ended up dropping a touchdown, which led to an interception. Tyquan Thornton caught that deep pass. They had a chance to score on 2 plays earlier when Reed Blankenship fell down, but they were not able to do that. Shamari Connor had led the team in tackles with 9. Andrew Galot had 1 sack. And it says they had 2, but I'm not only seeing 1. But that's fine. And other than that, Kansas City lost. Next up, we have the Falcons destroying the Vikings. Michael Penix, 13 for 21, 135 yards. No touchdowns, no picks. Not a terrible game, but it was led by Bijan Robinson with 22 carries for 143 yards. He's back after a disappointing week 1 against the Bucs. Tyler Algier had 16 carries for 76 yards and 1 touchdown. Minnesota could not stop the run. Drake London had 3 receptions for 49 yards. On defense, David Onyemata had led the team in tackles with 5. Zach Harrison had 1.5 sacks, and Brandon Doris had 1.5 sacks, and DeMarco Helms and Rook Horio had half sacks as well. Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman Jr. had the picks. And for Minnesota, JJ looked pretty bad, going 11 for 21, 158 yards, and 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Minnesota was not able to run the ball, with Jordan Mason having 9 carries for 30 yards. Justin Jefferson had a pretty good game, 3 catches for 81 yards. Other than that, no one was productive. J.J. McCarthy fumbled 3 times and lost 1 of the fumbles, which is obviously not ideal. Ivan Pace Jr. had led the team in tackles 9. Jalen Redmond and Dallas Turner had a sack. So did Jonathan Grenard, which is good. But I was disappointed in Minnesota. They actually got destroyed. Now we have a good Monday night game that started at 7. And we have Baker throwing for 25 to 30, 215 and 2 touchdowns. It looks pretty good. Both Bucky Irving and Rashad White were both productive through the ground. They could not stop the run. Rashad White ended up having the game-winning rushing touchdown. Mike Evans had 5 for 56. Amika Buka and Ryan Miller had the touchdowns. Taki Smith led the team in tackles with 6, and he also had a sack. Levante David and Elijah Roberts split a sack with that. And Greg Gaines also had a sack, with Tampa Bay's kicker missing a 38-yarder, I believe. Now we have Houston. C.J. Stroud, 13 for 24, 207 yards, and a touchdown. He did not look that impressive other than that touchdown throw, which was a dot. Houston was not able to run the ball other than Nick Chubb's pretty long touchdown run. He had 12 carries for 43 yards. Nico Collins had 3 catches for 52 yards and a crazy touchdown catch. It was an incredible catch. And that's it for the offense, basically. Henry 202 led the team in tackles with 11. Danielle Hunter got 2 sacks. Will Anderson got a sack. And Sheldon Rankins got a sack. And that's it for that game, other than the fact that it had an exciting first and fourth quarter. Then we have the 10 o'clock game. I don't know why the NFL had a game starting at 10 p.m. That should never happen again, or else I'm going to be sad. It was the Chargers versus the Raiders. My stat thing is bugging out because it's not showing the stats of the teams, but if I believe correctly, Justin Herbert threw 2 touchdowns, one to Quentin Johnson and one to Keenan Allen. Just to make sure, I'm going to refresh the... Don't you love technical difficulties, guys? And Geno Smith threw 3 horrendous picks. So, yeah, it was a pretty boring game that people probably stayed up to watch, which is pretty sad. That's all I have for you guys. See you guys next time. Peace.